Hey, if you're looking to create projections for a retail store that may also include an e-commerce component, then you've come to the right place because we have created a financial projection template built specifically for retail plus e-commerce businesses. Now, it works actually just perfectly fine for a standalone retail store, and you could use that template just for a retail store, a boutique, or something like that. But if you wanted to have that e-commerce component added in there, the template allows you to do that as well. And so what we're going to do today is walk you through how to fill this template out and how to use it when you're trying to raise capital from investors or lenders to get the business off the ground. And so we have put a link in the description of this video to this template, so you can go and grab that template. Then once you have that, you can follow along in the video and we'll walk you through how to fill it out. Well, first of all, my name is Adam Hooksum. I'm the co-founder of ProjectionHub. And over the last decade, we've helped thousands of entrepreneurs create financial projections for investors and lenders and internal planning. And today, we're focused on this e-commerce and retail template. But we also have over 50 other CPA-developed financial projection templates for all sorts of different industries. So if this is not the template for you, we probably have something else that could be useful for you. So just reach out and let us know. Let's go ahead and dive into the details of this template. Okay, so I'm going to start on our At a Glance tab, and this is really kind of the end of the process. And so once you have filled out all the assumptions for your retail business as well as your e-commerce component, you will be able to generate these nice reports here with profit and loss at a glance for 5 years, a number of KPI, key summary performance indicators here, both for the retail stores and the e-commerce side of the business. You can also see things like customer acquisition costs, things that investors are going to be interested in knowing about. You will also be able to see some graphs and tables with startup uses of startup funds, total funds required, and the sources of funds that you'll be able to generate, as well as some graphs and key ratios. You'll also get a 5-year income statement summary, a 5-year cash flow, a 5-year balance sheet summary, as well as an income statement, cash flow, and balance sheet for each of the 5 years by month. And so there's a lot of detail here that you can be able to provide to prospective funders. This is kind of the end in mind here, so in order to get to this level of detail, we have a bit of work to do. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So if we come back to the Input Assumptions tab, we'll be able to change any of the assumptions that are cells highlighted in blue without breaking anything in the model. And so you can see here, we'll start out, we've added a number of investors, and that's because the way I filled this out is we're assuming that you're going to have a whole chain of stores. I'm going to show you how to add multiple stores and kind of ramp that up over time. And so with that, you're going to need some funding. And so we have different tranches of equity that come in over time. So 500,000 in month 0 or at the beginning of the projection, and then 500,000 in month 6, month 15, and then finally in month 30. And you can see that this really corresponds with the leasehold improvement expenses that we have here for the 4 different stores that we're going to add. And so we're saying $200,000 worth of leasehold improvement for each store that we're opening. And you can see that they open in month 1, 6, 15, and 30. Or I guess I should say the leasehold improvement costs, that's when those are going to be recognized in those months. And then we're also going to secure some business loans. So we've got an equity component that we're raising some equity from investors, but we're also going to go out and get some business loans to help launch this business. And so we've got $1 million and then 3 $300,000 business loans as you open each of those stores. So again, equity and debt component with this. This little table down here is going to help you determine, after you enter in all your assumptions, whether your starting cash is sufficient. Do you have enough cash to pay for all of the startup costs of fixed assets? And then also the key thing here is the working capital. How much working capital is needed to help get the business to profitability? And so what we're doing here is capital intensive with opening physical retail stores along with an e-commerce brand. And so you can see that what we're showing, the projections we're showing here, is it's going to take 39 months until positive cash flow. And so we have a $2.5 million working capital need. So let's jump into our input revenue and show you how this works. So like I said, we are going to give you the ability to add multiple stores. You can add in these different stores and what month they will open. You'll also be able to say how many days per week are they open. And then this little table here helps you model how many visitors per store per day you expect to get. And see, what we've done here is that we're starting out with 100 visitors per day on average for year 1, ramping up to 250 visitors per day by year 5. So as the store gains traction, you could have that visitors per day per store grow. And then we have a conversion rate per store. And this, what we mean by conversion rate is what percentage of those visitors actually convert into buying a product. So what percentage of those visitors that walk into a physical store end up buying a product? So you can see we're saying that, hey, we're getting better at converting people into customers over time. And that will help you predict the number of transactions per day per store. And then the number of products per transaction. So you can say, what's the average? So we might have 25 transactions per day per store. And how many items are people buying? So we can list those here. And from there, you'll be able to, we'll calculate the average product sold the total products sold for all stores, 720. Now that we know the total number of products that are going to be sold, we need to give you some detail about the products. So we have different products or categories of products here that we can add when those product categories will be available. So we're saying that these first 4 are all launched right away in month 1, but maybe we have a new product category that we think we're going to launch at the beginning of year 2, so month 13 is when that comes in. Then you have an average price point for each product, a cost of the product, so this is the cost to you, this is your cost of goods sold, and then a relative popularity here. So this takes a little bit of explanation. We've got a note here, but it says enter a product's popularity compared to other products on the list. For example, a product with relative popularity of 4 will sell twice as many units as a product with a relative popularity of 2, and 4 times as many units as a product with a relative popularity of 1. So that can go all the way up to 1 through 10. So for example, if you enter a product that as a 1 product, and you enter another product as a 10 product, that 10 product is going to sell 10 times as much as the 1. So you're kind of trying to, this is trying to be a simple way without having to go through and by SKU trying to figure out, okay, how many shirts am I going to sell? How many? And we're trying to keep this somewhat simple and give you this relative popularity of the product category. And so then based on that, we will be able to project the retail revenue per store, and total revenue, as well as the cost of goods sold. So that is the retail piece. And you could stop there. That might be, maybe you just have a retail store, a boutique clothing store or something like that. You're done. You could be done right there. And what you would do is then put zeros in all these different assumptions for the e-commerce revenue and cost of goods sold, and you would be done. Now, if you want to add an e-commerce component, that's where this next section comes in. So say you're also selling product over e-commerce and you have an advertising budget, a cost per click in order to get people to your website. That generates a number of visitors from paid advertising plus your organic visitors. You can add organic visitors, gives you a total number of website visitors. And then you can add a conversion rate, what percentage of those website visitors are going to buy something. That will help you figure out your total number of orders. and the number of items per order. So you'll again be able to project number of items purchased here. And then we go through the similar exercise with the product categories, the average price, the cost of goods sold. In this table, we also have the cost of shipping and packaging. And again, the relative popularity. And that will allow you to generate your e-commerce sales revenue as well as your cost of goods sold. And then total revenue and total cost of goods sold. All right, so now we'll jump into our Input Other Expense tab. Now this table allows you to add specific expense line items, and you have a lot of flexibility here because you can categorize them into different categories. And so we've got sales and marketing, store expenses, so these are specific to the store, platform expenses, so this would probably be for your e-commerce platform expense items. And you can add additional categories here, and then you'll be able to select the category that you want from this drop-down. And we've got another key drop-down here, which allows you to add or say whether these expenses are going to be a fixed dollar amount. That means just for the entire business, all stores, all e-commerce, all together, it's a fixed dollar amount. It's like $500 a month or something like that. Or you can do a percentage of revenue. Is the expense a percentage of total revenue? So an example for that would be credit card fees. Credit card fees might be 2% of revenue. So you could add right here, we've got credit card fees, percent of revenue. We have that in at 5%, which is certainly high. But if you are also doing something like in-store, your own credit card or something like that in the retail store, there may be some additional fees to allow for that piece of it as well. And so, but anyway, you can adjust that. You will also then be able to enter in expenses on a per store basis. So if there's things like rent that you're going to pay $1,000 or $10,000 per store, you'll want to enter in that as a per store expense. If you have a per store advertising budget, you see that up here, per store advertising budget. So those are some examples of expenses that you can enter in on a per store basis. And that will scale. The more stores that you add to the model, that expense will increase with it. Whereas the fixed dollar amount expenses will stay the same no matter how many stores you have. All right, so finally, jumping into the Input Salaries tab, you can add your salaried positions here, CEO, marketing lead, general admin, support, customer support. And then you will want to add these per store staff team. So you have part-time staff. You'll notice here what we do is you can add those salaried positions, but then you'll notice here that says number of this particular employee. So part-time staff for the store, we're saying 4. Basically, that's saying that we're going to have 4 part-time staff per store for that expense item. And we'll have 1 manager per store. All right, so once you've entered all that in, we'll have our total salaries expenses calculated down here. And ultimately, we are back to where we began at the profit and loss at a glance. You can see, based on those assumptions that we have built in here, we lose money in the first few years as we ramp up over time. But as we increase the conversion rate, increase the visitors per store, and open additional stores, we reach a profitable level here. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section of the video below, or reach out to us at support@ProjectionHub.com, and we'd be happy to help you and happy to help you fill this out for your particular business model. All right, thanks.